We are resuming our regular session. The executive session is over, and we're going to continue going through the agenda. Okay, so next on our agenda is the service director's report. John Knuth. John, if you would please tell us. You and I have had a lot of conversations this week, and I know you've got a lot of information to share with our council.
We have two new guarded crosswalks. This one out here is malfunctioned from the but the other one's working. So I'll have to work on that one.
Can I ask a question about that?
Please.
Did you push the button to activate it?
Yes, you do.
Because when I was pulling out to go to work this morning, it was flashing like crazy and there was nobody around. How long does it stay?
They were malfunctioning.
These ones down here?
Well, and that's the problem is they're supposed to be more than 500 feet apart, which they are, and they're feeding each other. So we have to shut down the sensitivity because they have a signal. Each of them have a antenna that feeds across the street that feeds each one. And it's not supposed to feed that far away. If you're within 400 feet, they're going to connect to each other.
But
and that's why they got
kind of connecting though, right?
Yeah, and so there must be a way to loosen the sensitivity on it so that they don't feed each other. So
that's fine. I was just curious.
That's the reason.
I saw the button that said push, but then I saw the lights going and there was school's not in.
This one out here caused the other one to malfunction too. But once I turned it off, that one's working.
Okay.
Mr. Williams gave us the final locations for the radar signs. The first one will be northbound South Miami in front of Nick's or Bistro 407. And the second one will be southbound North Miami. It'll be 423 North Miami. It'll be about 2 doors north of C.T. Young. Within a couple of weeks, we'll be cutting brush back overhanging the bike trail on 50. That's something the village is responsible to do. We don't have the right equipment to do it, but all we're going to do is just cut it back to the guardrail and get it down as low as we can. We'll have to have a traffic control contractor out there to cone the area off so we can work safely out in the coned off area. It'll probably be from 8:30, 9 o'clock till 3:30 our working time. So,
Don, can I ask a question on that? Because I think everybody needs to know the difference between the cost of using our own equipment and renting equipment. We're going to still have pretty much the same effect because you're going to cut it in half. Just can't cut it down.
Correct.
So, do you remember how much the cost was if we had to rent the equipment?
It was about $5,000 a week.
So this is going to cost us about how much?
It's going to cost about $1,300, $1,400 a week.
So that's a significant savings.
Yes.
Sorry, what's the functional difference?
With the piece of equipment that I could rent to cut the stuff back would cut it down below the guardrail. It has an articulate arm that reaches over the guardrail and cuts it back, and you'd have a probably 2 to 3 foot path behind the guardrail that was always open. With what we've got, it only goes up and pushes back and down a little bit, but that's all we can do with the bush hog that we have. It's on a bobcat.
You're doing this instead of.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. It's not articulating over the guardrail.
Is there a way that once that's cut back, and I'm assuming right now as it stands, we don't see a lot of the trash that's being hidden by all the overgrowth? Is there a way then that we can go in there and clean that out so that's not something that stays there?
We will do that. And when we cut grass out on 50, we always pick up the trash first, and we pick up everything we can that we can't see. So when we go out and cut, there's nothing out there. Not to say that, it's not going to get thrown back out there, but somebody could drive it past.
So we just need also to have some kind of a steel pole going in there with the articulate arm and that blade hit a pole and then wind up having someone get hurt. So maybe go through first and
Right.
We're not using the articulate.
No, we're just using our Bobcat with a bush hog on it.
push off on
Yeah, we have our own bush hog that goes to it, so. But that's where, we can only go push in, we can only cut in because, and then it'll come down, but we can only come down so far.
And you are going to try to get us on the list, right, Chuck,
Yes,
with Hamilton County or the
actually,
state?
ODOT.
Yeah,
Okay.
Hamilton County
So
won't,
where they might come in and do the further,
correct.
the more intricate stuff for us.
I have when we get into the stormwater district, as part of that district, when we're in there, we have to, inspect and clean all the catch basin structures. And, to do that, you almost need a contractor to do this. I've been going around surveying catch basins. I don't have enough of these, but this is one catch basin at 125, Porter. And, this is what a lot of these catch basins look like. So this takes a contractor to clean these out. There. And, dug out. And then, it all needs to be dug out. The reason this catch basin clogged up was because it drains into this ditch. And the ditch filled up the end of the pipe. And then once that happens, it just backs up the whole the system. And then the catch basin across the street is in the same condition. So the pipe going from this catch basin on this side of the street, under the street to here, and then out to the ditch, they're all full.
There's a catch basin in Harryland Alley that has trees and bushes that I
It's the
trim
same
back all
thing.
the time.
So this is gonna be a huge cost for the village. We just wanted, Mr. Burkholz and I just wanted to make sure that you could see what's gonna be coming up. This is probably a reference, there's probably a third to a quarter or more of our catch basins are like this. Nobody's been maintaining these catch basins for a long time.
Oh.
So once these are done, then is there some type of routine maintenance cleaning that the maintenance department can establish to keep them open?
Yes. Yeah, we'll be able to clean them. We have to inspect them after rains and stuff. If there's debris down there, we'll be able to clean them out. And then, also it goes along with some of these catch basins may be deteriorated on the inside. Some of these catch basins are old. Some of them weren't built right. So, we have rocks falling out. I wish I would have gotten to Cindy to find out how much we spent on catch basin repair, but we built, in the last 3 or 4 years, we built a lot of catch basins.
Once these are cleaned out, is there a preventative screen?
But all you're doing is just putting it up on top. If it happens at night, overnight, a rain comes down in the fall and it covers up that catch basin. Now you got a flood in the street in the middle of the night. So, you'd rather have them go and then you hope that they're light enough that they'll float on out to, the river, wherever they're going. That's what you hope to do. But if there's a heavy accumulation, you'd rather have it go in the catch basin where we can clean it out better out of that from the inside.
Beyond that, John, I know you have some more things.
That's all right. If you got questions, ask.
Sorry, you said,
Please.
like, if you knew the number or what it would cost, you'd have said it, but what's the kind of time frame to work through a backlog like that?
Keeping up with the catch basins, probably a good 2 months.
2 months of solid reconstruction.
No, well,
Rebuild.
this is just, yes, correct. You'd just be going in, you have a contractor come in, and then he would, vacuum all the catch basins out, and then, run a jet rotor through high pressure water through through the pipes. And then once they're clean, then you don't have a problem with it. And then you just have to keep your ditches and stuff clean. So, you know, it would take a good, probably a month to 2 months.
How many?
Haven't even,
Once
we inventory-
A score, good estimate of it, because, I talked with Jeff, our stormwater engineer, and I'm gonna talk more about that at the end. But there's at least 900.
Oh, geez.
it's a task. Asking about speed humps for Porter between, Scott and Cooper. The speed humps are recycled rubber and are about $3,000 to cover, go across Porter Street, where the lady was talking about.
Is that something that when you can maybe kick them out, or is that gonna be something that's gonna interfere with snow plowing?
It's gonna interfere with snow plowing. But the good thing about these speed humps, they're in small pieces. And to put one to replace a small section, you're not talking that much, but
So it's gonna tear the hump off, or it's gonna tear it.
But don't tear the plow.
it's not gonna tear the problem.
I was not here at the last meeting, but a block up where it goes over the Morgan Creek.
Mhm.
There's a problem with them speeding. They speed down the road. I watched it the other night. They gun it so they can hop over there. The guy in the pickup truck bottomed out. I think maybe that should be something that our law enforcement could maybe try to
Where's
pay more
that?
attention to. Porter Street behind the CTM.
Has
Oh,
the
stop
safety
signs.
committee looked at,
We're on the safety committee, we got.
have you looked at the possible?
Not yet.
Okay. So there's no recommendation from the state to go with speed bump.
That's the lady from the last meeting asked about.
For me.
Yeah.
And people fly up Porter Street. I think Porter Street is some, street that maybe the officers can maybe start patrolling.
Is
more
it
frequently.
students?
Is
it students? Like, has it slowed down? I mean, is it better with school out, or is this traffic from school?
I couldn't tell the other night who was driving the pickup truck because
Okay.
they honestly limited everyone so fast. I couldn't have even gotten the license plate number.
Okay,
But
I'm just
the
curious.
speeding on Porter Street behind CTM there, that whole block is a problem. I know my neighbors have complained about it as well.
If we put those rubber speed humps down, you can pull them up in the event that you need to plow there too.
Generally, that's what, the salesman said that they pick them up, yes. They're still anchored down into the blacktop, but they can be taken up. There is such a way that you do it the right way, you can take them back up and put it back down again.
Is this something we consider?
To look at that, but I don't think that's the only street we need to look at. I got complained up on Walmsley, and I've seen the video up there. They've had cars going up there. I would say in excess of 90 mph going up that hill. There's video of it. And there have been police reports made, and very little has changed.
Okay,
But it's not, we get it in Coleman Woods too. So,
Well, you're gonna get speed, yeah.
yeah, and Westgate has a problem.
Yeah, they fly up Westgate and they
It's not
fly up.
just down here. And the sheriff's department cannot be everywhere. They don't have the manpower to do it.
No, but we can let them know that particular area is one of concern.
I will email him tonight. You know,
We can start with that.
Or you can email him tomorrow morning.
I'll email him tonight. Yeah.
Those speed humps also through them, and it won't bother the fire trucks or anything, so they wouldn't be driving over the hump as they.
So What's to prevent people and vehicles from doing the same thing?
They can't do it. They could get two wheels across in the open spot, but the other two wheels are gonna hit anyway. The fire trucks and stuff are a wider body, and those wheels are much wider than a passenger. So,
But the
I've
ambulance-
gone, the ambulance is the same way, they can go through them, but they're just barely gonna hit the edge of the bump. But, I've tried, they have a Cincinnati put one down on southbound, they put one at Coleraine and North Bend, right by the water tower.
Okay.
And it's concrete. And you can see where a fire truck could go through it, but I've tried to get, my truck to go in between, you can't do it. You can only get two wheels in the empty spot where a fire truck would go. So, nice try. But they can't
That's
get
a question.
they can't get through it.
I'm not saying it's not nearly as robust as putting something down. People are going 90 miles per hour, they wouldn't care about this either. But there are alternative things you can put into the actual intersection to make it visually more narrow, such as like those kind of rubberized signs that stop.
Yeah, those make good targets.
Point taken. The argument I think would be is, it may get some margin of the offenders and it may be more cheap. So if we can only afford speed humps in one location or two locations and there's 5 problems and it happened to be an intersection, so that's one thing you can consider. And it just didn't come up the last time. That's all.
I have one more question. If they can be taken up for like winter time, can they be taken up and moved to different locations? Really? Great.
Yes, and drilling back into the blacktop and then re-anchoring them in another place,
Is it,
So
is it doable or not doable?
it's not, it wouldn't be recommended to do
Okay.
that.
Now, if they're on a street, if you indicated on the side of, like in the curb area where it is that something where you could just lift the plow, go over the hump
Yes.
and then plow again?
That's generally
So
what they
you wouldn't
do.
even have to remove it.
We don't have to.
But
Generally,
if you've got hills, you might have more of an issue and you have to be able to identify where the bumps are if there's an issue to us.
yeah, and that's what usually they leave them down. If you're going up into the northeast and stuff, the snow belt,
Where they get a lot more snow.
they take them up.
You can put signs that says.
Yes.
Speed hump.
Yeah. It's just the maintenance crew needs to know where they are.
Well,
But
we
it
put them
used to be
down,
an
so,
issue of it actually. You're saying that's not an issue with these.
I mean, you could go over them softly, but best thing to do is just go, pick up your plow. Works lawn, it's about $1,200. That's not including, I guess the topic came up with just the mayor about putting electric there. That doesn't include the electric. And then somebody had mentioned that they wanted to put a Christmas tree there too and light that up. So that's not included in that $1,200. This is for the contractor to pick the gazebo up and take it up to the waterworks lawn and grade out the area, flatten it out, put the gazebo there.
How far up in that property?
That would have to be determined. I haven't talked to Eric yet. From the waterworks, if they're gonna let us do it. It sounds like he would let us do it. He's open to it, but I haven't even got that far where he would like it. And then,
Cause their property comes all the way down to South Miami, right?
it comes all the way down, it comes down to Main Street and then, over to Cleves
Okay.
Avenue. So,
Okay, gotcha, okay.
But the longer lawn area is on the Main Street side, on the back side, if you wanna call it the building, the back
Did you
side.
see the gazebo though from South Miami?
Not necessarily, I don't know.
Probably not, because the museum's in the way. You might be, no, there's that borderline of trees too,
It's gonna be
so,
very tough.
yeah, it'd be pretty tough, yeah, you're right.
How many people are gonna use it?
If, well, if we're losing
We have
that,
to move
if we're
it, so.
losing that lot, they're going to have to move the farmer's market. So if that grassy area next to the waterworks building is something that they're planning on utilizing for things
Okay.
like the farmer's market, they.
I just would hate to move it and then pay to move it again.
There's a very little places we can do it. There's another one about moving it down towards towards Cooper. I'm not sure where they were talking about moving it down there, but, you know, we're looking at the person that you're and Bev has already, I believe, secured a tree if we get approval.
Okay.
And it's about, I want to say it's about 10 to 12 foot tall. So we'd have to look and see what the cost of that would be. But the Women's Club is what she's planning on paying for that. But according to her, and she's our historian, if anybody knows Cleves, it's Bev Myers. Evidently, at one point, when the original, when the town was laid out, it was supposed to be almost like an old Boston Commons in that area. And so the Christmas walk is going to need a place for Christmas tree lighting and that in the future. I think most people know it's there and it's lit properly and there's electricity there. People will figure out where, how to use that.
That's also an area where years in the past, there were swing sets and things up there.
We were talking about making.
So if we put the gazebo up there, if we could get some leaf rod branch or something to put a swing set or just a simple swing set or something up there, that may encourage people to go up and utilize the area as well.
Yeah, I would just like to say, I asked John to talk with Eric about this. I haven't had time to get up there, but he has been more than cooperative in trying to help the village out in pretty much anything we've asked him to do. So,
Don't surprise me.
I'm sorry?
That does not
Oh.
surprise me.
I thought you said it is Friday.
No, it does not surprise me.
Okay, no, he's been really cooperative, so that's, I would anticipate he'll figure out some way to help us out through that.
And I got a bulletin board for out in front of the building out here. North Bend just put this one in just this week. It's got lights in it, LED lights in it, comes on during the day. But it's
Where would
lighted.
this one go?
Ed Lindenschmidt should get credit for the idea, it was not my idea, but we're gonna be having meetings, hearings, things like that. And when people have to walk upstairs, go read, for example, our notices and things like that, we felt that this would be a good place for if we're gonna have a planning commission meeting or anything like that, instead of posting it on the windows, we'd be able to post it there where people are walking by, they can see it, it's convenient. I believe those are supposed to be vandal proof, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
So I'd just like you to.
No, I like that idea.
That's $2,000. Those bulletin boards are $2,000. Like I said, North Bend just put that one in, so.
Is it both sides or one side?
Just one sided. You could probably turn it, that we would have, there's the situated that's just red on one side, but I'm sure you could probably.
I'm just
Yeah.
curious.
I think one side would be sufficient.
No, I just was
Out there in
curious.
front.
That's all. The parks, no, the part-time employee.
Yeah, there we go. Now we're talking about it.
So on your agenda is to hire a part-time employee for the maintenance department. And it was, the term was from, I believe it was March or April till October. My request is either make that to December or make it a year-round employment for the employee. Only for the fact is that, you know, if I don't need during the winter, if there's, you know, if there's not much work, we can send him home. But, he would do a lot better work for us if he worked year round, or at least till the end of the year anyway, to try that.
I think you can make it a seasonal. On a seasonal.
We had to pay them on our park kids. Yeah. Yeah, you pay OPERS on even seasonal employees.
Yeah.
We had to pay it on all of our park kids. Yes,
They even knew about it?
I don't know, they would have got something in the mail when they left. They could have, my sons were able to withdraw their portion, which wasn't a lot. I mean, it's not gonna be a lot.
If you're a public employee, your years towards retirement, so even if you're working part-time, you're accumulating into your retirement system. And, a lot of, educators I've known, you know, would work for the library or something like that. They were accumulating, you know, time into, to overs. And there's a way to transfer that all in, so.
My suggestion originally, John, was someone that could possibly work year round. Because all I kept thinking is in the winter, they could be trained to snow plow, which if you're plowing and salting 24 hours, you need people to come in and take breaks. And I know Waterworks has done some of that in the past, they've helped.
But they
So
don't know the routes. They don't know the snowplow routes.
I just don't want something where you're guaranteeing someone X amount of hours year round. And then not really having anything for them to do.
Well, and that's what, you know, if there was a day, just catch, you know, looking catch base and stuff, you don't need that guy. You know, you just send him home or just tell him not to come in that day.
So actually, which employee, not necessarily
Well, we call it a
seasonal.
part-time PRN.
What's that mean?
PRN is, like, as needed.
Yeah, versus seasonal. I think seasonal leads you to believe. The time frame we had discussed was March through October, but, part-time without guaranteeing, but not allowing them to go over so many hours.
32 hours or 25 hours, whatever your,
We were looking at 24 to 25 a week.
just,
Well, yeah, we're not gonna go, we weren't gonna go that high. In finance, we discussed approximately 24 to 25 hours, and that was seasonal. So if you stretch it out over the course of the year, yeah, it's still, no, I wouldn't wanna go 32.
Anything over 30 is considered full-time, I believe, and you have to do benefits.
Do you need a motion from us to?
No, we're not doing anything on this right now. I just asked him to come up on the finance committee.
Oh, okay.
Well, there is a resolution,
There is,
resolution created, but it might change.
It might change.
that's all I have.
Any other questions for John? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda is Parks Committee, Mr. Burns.
Well, we've not had our monthly meeting, so the updates are a little stale. We got through some of the more critical ones at the end of our last marathon meeting. We have a little bit more work to do to finalize the 25, which becomes $35,000 grant that was originally for an LED bulletin board sign, like the senior center has, but is now destined to be water fountain installations in the park. We owe them one more piece of information, July 15th. I'd probably have to powwow with you before you. Before Monday rolls around, basically.
And I'm gonna, Monty contacted me because he wants to make sure that I do what I need to do for the village so that they are notified in the time required, which I'll take care of that. I didn't want to do anything until we knew for sure the 15th deadline, so we do need to powwow on that.
Yeah. sorry, I can bring up next, tomorrow's agenda, but, the last meeting was a little higgledy-piggledy.
What was
The
that?
higgledy-piggledy,
Hickory.
I may have picked that up for reading Garfield cartoons, I don't think.
That's a new one
And
for me, that.
that is the major action, except for we still have COVID money to spend, which expires at the end of the year as well.
Yeah.
Parks doesn't have dibs on that, but if there's a notion to use it for parks, that stuff's still up in the air. We need to get serious about that. I think the other thing to report on is Christmas committee, which is now divorced from the time used for parks. Has also had meetings. It has made its first expenses, booking the carriage. We had a meeting July 3rd, and the major concerns there were resolving what our actual spaces are gonna be, and that takes two forms. We don't currently have access to the Miami Town Hall. For our indoor activities, we're looking into CT Young options. For our version of the craft fair and our installations and what we offer from the village. And the other piece that we need to talk about will be done in conjunction with safety committee is like, what exactly are we gonna do in terms of street closures? We're gonna try to get with businesses to find out what their needs are at different times of the day. But we do have horse carriage. I assume Ron Kraus will be running his antique fire truck around. We are talking about reinstantiating a parade. And I guess that's the other piece I'll mention in a second. But all these things, and food trucks, all these require some influence on the streets. So I think that's probably the major ongoing concern for the village that is unresolved. We did decide to move it to a single day event, due to conflicts with Miami Townships. They have an event on Friday, the Winter Wonderland. So we just moved our tree lighting to Saturday night. We will likely move the hours back so that patrons don't have to be there so long, but we'll also squeeze in a parade to have Santa arrive and light the tree. And we'll set up a program around the tree lighting. I guess I'll just put this out there for the public and for anybody on council who can contribute anything. The major thrust of the parade is that it will be a blink light, a light festival at dusk or after dawn with vehicles and golf carts and patrons festooned in LED lights and fun things. So if you know anybody who would like to contribute to that sort of thing as a float or a vehicle or a walker, start soliciting there. If you think I've missed anything, please pipe up. That's most of what's developed in the last month.
Okay, so I'll move. And it deals with sale of surplus weapons. And I sort of put this in here because of some concerns we had this last time. And Todd, and Jerry talked to me, or talked to Rob, I can't remember which one it was now, about it today. Did you have a conversation with Rob about it today? July 4th. So I just need to know where are we headed as far as that.
Well, initially, Daisy,
No, go ahead.
initially, safety committee's recommendation was to sell the items to Hamilton County or AIM, but then there were other interests expressed. So given that, pretty much our only option is to open it up for public bid. So Rob was going to be checking into the specifics on that as far as the time frame that we have to have it open for bid and that, but that's going to be the route we'll have to go is public bid.
So we're tabling this for right now.
Yes,
Okay.
we cannot limit it to just a couple people that know about it if we're going to sell them rather than to the Hamilton County.
And Rob's gonna take care of that piece of information.
He's getting the information. I don't he'll get back to us with the information and then we'll go from there.
Todd, do you have anything else you wanna talk about safety? I know you and Parks have moved your meeting to.
Right, well, we're just working with the Christmas on having this thing, the street closures that are one had to happen. John mentioned the speed sign, got those in, got locations picked out, and John's going to be working on setting those up. After listening to all the speeding areas, we will be discussing more of some options of they're called we call them rubber duckies where I work, the fiberglass posts that are on rubber.
Oh,
So you can hit them and an emergency vehicle has to go through them, but they're designed to limit the flow of traffic. We can look into possibly putting some of them in some areas that I was saying visually it would make it look smaller to slow people down. I think that would be a great idea. In the speed bumps too that John was talking about, I'm familiar with those. Don't those bolt off from the top? Some of them? Yes. And they're made of some kind of, you know exactly what they're made of? The hump? Yes. It's a recycled rubber. Okay. So I can send you some information on that. Yeah. Those should last a very long time. And I've seen them where the snow piles have taken them back out, but they're, like John was saying, they're very sections of it. So that's pretty good. The fire department has assigned us Captain Bonner, NERT, as our representative for safety. Now we have a specific person from the fire department else either. Maybe nobody. That's nice to hear. Let's see, the air care landing pad, that was checked out okay, with the fire department and UC Air Care over at Park, so they're happy with it. Don't need to do anything with it.
No cleanup. At one time, they said there were weeds, but are we good now?
The concrete pad itself, they said was fine.
Good.
Then they mentioned, I think they mentioned potentially getting a new windsock, but they said it really wasn't that big of a deal.
Anymore with all the electronics that they have on the aircraft, they probably know wind speed and all that before they move it first. All the county radios that the police department had, they are working with the sheriff's department on purchasing them from the village so there will be revenue coming in from the village. They need considerable amounts of updates for them to be used for patrol right away. So we would pay for those updates, and I just think that would be more money that we would have to pay up front and hope to get back. So having them take what we have with the chargers. As is, and being done with it. That's one more.
Is that your recommendation? Yeah, are you talking about just giving them to them?
No, not giving it to the person. They would be
Just at a lower amount because they need to put money into.
Right now, they're on Motorola because they were sent to Motorola to see how much updates. Because they sat dormant for so long, and every so many years they Motorola updated the guts of those electronic units.
They're outdated. But Hamilton County has a lot of older radios, so they would be purchasing them so that they can have parts to replace some of their keep some of their older radios in service. Basically, the ones we have are so outdated that they're kind of useless anyway.
So if we could at least get rid of that, that would be.
So do you wanna do a resolution tonight on that or not? I mean,
I want to talk to Rob before I will make a resolution to make sure that is all pictured.
Okay. So we'll take that up then next month, is what you're saying, okay. Anything else, Todd, or? No, anything, that's it, any questions from council? Any questions from the public? Gary, you wanna give us an overview of?
Update I really have is the fact that tonight that we did in a quick need, was that we swore in 2 residents from the village of Cleves that is going to be serving on the, Cleves Planning and Zoning Commission. So planning and zoning is moving from a committee forum, which is made up of strictly council members, to the commission, which is council and residents. And
The mayor,
he's part of council.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and 1 council and 3 residents, right?
Well, it'll be 2 council and 2 residents at this point in time, and
Okay,
I've got 1 alternate. So
Okay.
I'm still trying to find one other person
And I'm working on the next door neighbor, but
that,
I haven't gotten an answer yet.
but I think we're functional.
if there's anybody out there watching this that is willing to serve, you wanna
Contact
give
me.
the pitch?
Yeah, well, contact me and I'll be happy to talk with you about what.
1 meeting a month, most likely, right?
Well,
What would be the time commitment?
you know, we meet once a month, obviously, for whatever reasons, however brief it might be, but, you know, when we go for public hearings, that requires a dedication of at least 3 meetings where, you know, we have to open it up to the public to hear things such as rezonings, et cetera. So, you know, depending on how many we've got, and right now, both the residents that are on the commission know that we've got a couple items that are kind of pressing and pending. So, but, you know, once we get into this, you know, it's fairly easy, in my opinion, because the ordinances are spelled out, and it's a matter of you either following the ordinance or you're not following it. It's where you want to adopt another ordinance, and then you bring it to council, where council would then vote on to a particular ordinance. So,
Okay, that's fine.
carry it out. So, that's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions from council? All right, we'll move on then to, the finance committee.
Yeah, page of notes here. A lot of things are discussed in finance, but, you know, we talked about, the budget, which we took care of, tonight. The UAN payroll, which Cindy said she's already submitted the first one, which is gonna save us money. Stormwater program, which Chuck has on the agenda to talk about later in this meeting. The possibility of mayor's court and how we're going to enforce, potential zoning violations in the future. With a couple possibilities still floating out there, nothing concrete. The one thing the committee did talk about and decide to move forward on, I believe, was authorizing the mayor to sign a contract with American Legal Publishing. I do believe that we all agree that codifying these ordinances are important and that we should move forward with, for council's consideration, contracting with, getting that rolling. You do have a resolution prepared, Chuck. I know that you still had some concerns with
No,
the contract.
Let me just update the public and the council. When we had our discussion with them, things were supposed to be spread over 2 fiscal years. And when the contract came back to me, it wasn't spread over 2 fiscal years. I made a choice to go through that contract, and I decided just to save on the legal fee side of it, rather than have Rob do it. I wanted to go through and make sure exactly what this contract was asking us to do. So I got them to send us a revised contract. That is in your packet. That's the one that they made the adjustment on. So it is spread over 2 fiscal years. That was my primary concern. There are some other concerns I have. And I spoke with them about that because, and I found out it's not unusual that villages don't always know where all their ordinances are. And so buried in the contract was a section in there that dealt with if they have to go through and they have to, let's say we have to send minutes to them and then have them dig through other areas to figure out where it is, it's $45 an hour. And I was concerned about that because if we've listened carefully in the past when Rob's been talking about it, they're sort of here, they're sort of there, they're sort of everywhere. Then I found out from John that we actually have evidently an off-site storage area where documents are, which I didn't know that we had. Evidently that is out in Springdale. So we're gonna have to look out there too to see exactly what's there. So I wanted to clarify with them and my comment to them was, how long do we have to get this stuff pulled together? So once we sign the contract, we're gonna need to try to get as much to them as we can within 2 months. I told them if there's things that they're going through and they can't find it, that I would prefer rather than paying them $45 an hour, that I will spend whatever time that we need to spend to find out where the ordinance is. And Rob is currently pulling everything together. John will be picking it up and transporting it down here to the municipal building so we can go through those things. And so we've got basically 2 months to sort of go through things and try to get it organized. I'd accept any help that anybody wants to go through, but until I see what we got, I'm not sure what it's gonna be. But there is a guarantee in there that, that as long as we take care of what we're sending them, we're not gonna have to worry about that $45 an hour. Now, he said, if we send everything and they can't find anything, they can't cross-reference it, that's where the problem comes in. I said, well, there's no real way to answer that question. And I said, how many other villages have this problem? And the answer was a lot of them. So we're not alone. The actual number of pages in there, I wanted to make sure they had given us enough pages, which I think they said at 500. They said in their mind, based on working with other villages, they'd have no problem staying under that. And even if you go over the 500 pages, it's a nominal fee. So once I got the sort of 2 years over, I'm very cognizant of the fact that we've got to manage our dollars. Just to give you an example, I talked with John about the Morgan Creek ditch. One of the things I think we need to take a look at with that is can we spread that over 2 years? And we talked about options of how to go about that.
But that's a different subject.
It is.
Okay.
But my point is not about that. My point is our budget. We have to be careful about what we're spending and in what year we're spending it. So if you're talking about a cost of $54,000 or whatever it's going to be, I'd like to see it that we would start that project, Oregon Creek, okay, later in the year, spread it over 2 fiscal years. Just like we're trying to spread over 2 fiscal years the cost of codification. When you're talking about $20,000 to codify your ordinance, it makes more sense to me if we can spread it over 2 fiscal years, because you're not using up your budget currently. So,
And that was already resolved, correct?
that is resolved, correct. But what I'm trying to say to you guys is when we can spread it out over 2 years, if we can keep to that, that to me makes a lot of sense when our budget is as tight as it is and we do not know yet, and we won't until the end of September, we're not going to really know where we are budget-wise. So, yeah, this is about am legal. It's also about the bigger picture of managing our total budget.
Well, when we're talking about am legal and the $45 an hour fee, at one time, I could have gone downstairs and produced any ordinance we adopted within minutes. What you're telling me now is that stuff has all been moved all over the place.
I would love to tell you I know where it is, but I don't.
I know what the books look like. I know where the binders are, because when I went to meet with Cindy I saw them all from the years, like right before I left. Cause we were
Rob-
keeping everything in binders.
Rob said that he was gonna get this to me. I wanted it done by this week. He told me he could not beat that deadline. He said he would have it ready for next week. So
Would have what ready then?
all the binders, all the different.
Well, they're all in one room.
Well, if they're all in one room and not in folders like we've heard before and stuck into file cabinets,
Now, they are,
all I'm telling you is what I've been told. I've
No.
not been physically. over
prior to
it.
2015, they're all in binders or book.
And
Because that's what the state auditor required, and that's what was done.
well, let's hope that they're
We've
that
had
way.
audits since then, which we passed, so they should be somewhere altogether.
I would hope so.
My question to you, Chuck, too, is how far back do they go? Because I had ordinance books from 64 that I was going through and making an index. Are they gonna go back to 1964? I mean, how far back are we going?
They'll take whatever we send them.
And those were the old ledger binders that you had to have clips to open and special. I mean, if they go far back, that's where I'm wondering where those books are.
It's gonna be what we send them. And quite frankly, if you're going that far back, my guess is you're probably gonna see a lot of ordinances that aren't legal anymore, if we're not, we'll be using those ordinances, we're not gonna be referencing those ordinances. That's where the problem comes.
We don't have to send them every ordinance. We only have to send the ordinances where we actually changed laws or made restrictions to our zoning or changed our laws.
It's your changes and your current laws that you're gonna try to enforce,
Okay.
they gotta take a look at whether the there's been court cases that have changed whether those ordinances are even legal. That's what the codification's to do. And if the ORC has changed, then, and our ordinances, maybe they were passed in 1965, they may not be legal anymore. So we should give them everything we possibly can.
But like the resolution we passed tonight on the gas
Resolutions are-
aggregation,
They're not doing that.
yeah, that's the point I'm making. We don't have to send every
No.
ordinance.
No, ordinances we send, resolutions, they don't.
Okay,
Those are
that'll make it.
technically, technically, when you do a resolution, you have to redo it. So you should be voting on it again, not just a one-time thing, if you need it still. Any other questions you have about that?
Well, are we gonna move forward then with the,
I'm asking
Codification.
for a motion because if we're gonna move
So
forward on
your
it,
concerns have been answered to your satisfaction?
They have.
You have?
as best they can answer it, yes.
I don't remember how long it takes. Do you remember how long they said, once they start to receive these, review them?
I
Yeah,
think I just saw in there somewhere 4 to 7 months.
Yeah. it's 7 to 8 months.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that we,
We need to do a motion first to declare an emergency, okay, and then read it by title only. This is one of the examples of what we need to do, so.
I'm still confused on why we don't have to introduce. I know what
Let me get
that's what
Rob.
we used to do in the past,
Let
and
me,
they're saying we don't have to do
You don't
that.
have to introduce it anymore. Okay.
what you got, read the resolution by name. Right now, I'm looking at some, so what I'm gonna be doing, I'm gonna be asking you guys as a compliment, I'm sorry, that we're on resolution number 18/2024, a resolution making a motion for the Village of Cleves Council to authorize the mayor to sign a contract with Am Legal to codify village ordinances. I'm asking you to have a motion to declare this an emergency and suspend the rules. Then we will read by title only. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion. I can't.
That's right, you're making a motion
I make
to
a motion.
suspend the rule, declare an emergency
Thank you.
for resolution number 18/2024. That's
Thank
your
you.
motion.
Yes, sir.
Did you get that down, Penny?
I do.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Bolton. Are there any questions? Penny, call the roll.
Mr. Burns.
Yes.
Mr. Walters,
Yes.
Ms. Bolton,
Yes.
Ms. Meister,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Jennings.
Yes.
Motion passes, 6-0, and now I need a motion that to approve or to make a motion for the Village of Cleves Council to authorize the mayor to sign a contract with Ken Legal to codify village ordinances. Suspended the rules, now I need you to approve that or make a motion to it.
I'll make the motion to approve it.
Motion to approve resolution number 18, by Mrs. Bolton. Do I have a second?
I will second.
Second by Mr. Walters. Is there any further discussion? Then Penny, we should call the roll, folks.
Mr. Burns.
Yes.
Mr. Walters,
Yes.
Ms. Bolton,
Yes.
Ms. Meister,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yeah.
Ms. Jennings.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Okay, I don't know what you want to do on seasonal part-time, Linda.
Yeah, you know,
That'd be Taylor.
I don't know if you remember that I talked about an all-year at-will employee, because I thought
I don't remember that.
I thought that it would maybe be useful in the case of a snow event in the winter as an extra driver.
My recollection of that was that we wanted to see how well they did before we made a determination as to whether or not we were gonna make it what John was talking
Well, I suggested possible year-round, but I was not, the discussion centered around season. It was something I suggested, but it wasn't something that was decided on.
about. I'm fine at tabling this. If you want to wait till next month, I don't have a problem doing that. If you're preferring me to go to what you said here tonight, I'm okay.
I thought we did it for a period of defined time.
Yeah, the finance committee, which, you weren't sitting on, Gary,
Correct.
kind of agreed to the seasonal part-time maintenance position. We've already established a starting salary of $18 an hour for any new employees. They were not to work more than 25 hours was put down in my notes, but that's weird. 3 8-hour days is 24 hours, so
Make it
I put 24/25 hours a week through the months of March and October. I see no reason why we can't do that. I felt comfortable enough doing that with budgetary concerns, because it is halfway through the year already. So it's a good way for us to see how much this person would work, what kind of things they would do. We won't even get somebody hired probably for a couple weeks, if not more. Let's get it going and then take a look at how effective it was. We can always change it to permanent part-time, like we were talking about.
At a later date.
Yeah, right now it's considered seasonal.
John needs the help. I can tell you that right now, he needs help.
And he needs help now.
Yeah, so not.
So I don't really want to table it.
I said that not knowing what I was gonna say, in fact, that John needs help now, so.
Right, and at least we're getting somebody seasonal, which is what we're prepared to do tonight. Whether or not it becomes year-round, at will, all of that can be, we have between now and October to change that.
Yeah, and I want to just once again remind you, we have the stormwater thing that's being added on. You heard him say today that things have not been maintained. That's where the problem comes in. And they should have been maintained all these years. And this is not going away. His comment to me before we came in here was, we're opening up a can of worms. I said, it's a can of worms that has to be open. We don't have a choice.
They used to be, I just don't know when they stopped maintaining.
Well, you can go back to 2015 when we dropped out of the stormwater district.
That was
and-
2013.
But the
Yeah,
actual, you guys decided you actually dropped out in 2015.
okay,
And then at that point in time, I think probably nothing was being done.
yeah, right. That's what I was thinking.
So anyhow, I'm fine with that. So I would like to once again ask for a motion to suspend the rules. And this one is for resolution number 19 to create a seasonal part-time maintenance position, declare it an emergency. Do I have a motion to suspend the rules and declare a resolution to create a seasonal part-time maintenance position number 19 an emergency and suspend the rules.
I will make the motion to suspend the rules and read by title only resolution number 19.
We have a motion to suspend the rules. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Jennings. Is there any further discussion? Penny, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Burns,
Yes.
Mr. Walters,
Yes.
Ms. Bolton.
Yes.
Ms. Meister,
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Ms. Jennings.
Yes.
All right, this next one is on the stormwater update, and this is
Well,
for,
now we need a motion
Oh, I'm
to
sorry.
adopt. I'll make
Yeah.
that motion to adopt
You're right.
resolution number 19, 2024.
I'm
I
sorry.
made that mistake earlier.
Yeah, you're good. So you're gonna make the motion to approve that.
Correct.
Resolution number 19, 2024 for a seasonal part-time maintenance position. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Jennings. Any further discussion? Would you call the roll, Penny?
Mr. Burns,
Yes.
Mr. Walters,
Yes.
Ms. Bolton.
Yes.
Ms. Meister,
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Ms. Jennings.
Yes.
And I'm gonna be real brief on the stormwater update. We're out of money on the contract. In other words, the $10,000 contract that Mr. Ray Hall signed last year is over. And last month I gave you a general services contract from Joyce. And in the midst of that, I've been trying to get in touch with Jennifer Vatter, who's our JMA engineer. And the question in my mind was, do we really need 2 engineers? So I contacted her and asked her, are you willing to do the stormwater? Okay. I told her that I had a resolution ready to go, but I was willing to pull if they are seriously considering maybe taking over the role that Choice One is taking. So I did pull that. That's why you don't see it here tonight. I hadn't written, okay, but we have a long-standing relationship with JNA. I wanted to give her that opportunity. We had a good discussion, about 20, 25 minutes on the phone. I sent her the contract that not JMA, but Choice One sent us. And I think she was thinking in her mind that we wanted them to take over all the inspections and everything else. And I said, Choice One is not doing that. That is not what Choice One's doing. Choice One's doing is giving us technical assistance to complete our plan. I think she's open to that. Okay, but she wanted to talk to them, they're like a subsidiary of another engineering company now. She wanted time to talk with the partner. So I pulled that. We've got a lot of work to do on this plan yet, mapping and things like that. When I talk to Jeff, it sounds to me like it's gonna be a considerable amount of hours if he does it. In talking with others that I've spoken to, they believe that Hamilton County's maps may already do a lot of that work for us. And JMA, I know I've got one map that was actually created by JMA. When I talked to her first about it, she said they didn't have any of those maps. So I'm gonna be contacting her and having her look deeper into their files to see if they do. Because when you start talking about these 900 pipes, you gotta tie that to an address, and then that's all part of the reporting process. So they're gonna have to show this on this mapping system, and it may already be done, and it may be cost effective for us for them just to look at it and use those maps if they still have them, and the EPA will still accept it. So I just felt it was worth the wait a second. I told Rob, no more discussions with Choice One until we figure out, and if JMA is willing to do this, and they've been serving as our engineer, that's probably where I'm gonna come back with a recommendation. So that won't be happening until next month.
They're very familiar with our street.
Yeah. She sent me all the streets.
Yeah.
Yeah, maps of the streets and that. I need other
Yeah,
information on
yeah.
that.
But they're familiar with our building.
Yeah. Any other questions you would have of me on that? If not, does anybody else have any new business they want to bring up and discuss before I ask for a motion to adjourn?
I do. Regarding solicitors in the village.
Yes.
I know years back we did pass a resolution or ordinance, a resolution, I guess it was, or something about they need to get a permit.
Who needed to get a permit?
Anybody that's in the village soliciting.
Oh, for soliciting,
For soliciting.
yeah.
I know just this past week at my house, I had 2
Yeah,
solicitors come to the
I've had a
door.
bunch in Westgate.
Is that something that we can
He's
start
already,
addressing?
he's been looking into that and for a couple of reasons. One is that, and I don't have the court case. Supposedly there was a court case that dealt with that, declared that unconstitutional. That by soliciting. I don't know whether that's true or that's false. But Am Legal's gonna be able to figure that out if Ron can't.
So that is something that's on the radar.
It is on the radar.
We
It's
do
been-
not,
it's been on
we've
the
never
radar.
had an anti-solicit.
I'm sorry?
We never had an
It
anti-solicit.
wasn't an anti, they just had to register so that
That
they
is
knew
true.
it was in the village soliciting the residents, so.
It was a form that they filled out.
Yeah.
We got a copy of a driver's
You
license.
just need to make sure it's legal.
Yeah, but no, we weren't trying to, and we didn't charge them anything,
No, I understand.
because I was the one that used to do it.
My next question will be that if it is okay that we continue with that, is that something that, since there's not somebody here 24 or 7 days, 5 days a week, business hours, is that something that the waterworks clerk will be able to do, or how are we going to, because like I
Well-
said, she used to be here every day, so she would be here for them to come do
I,
it.
I would think that honestly, that's probably something we can put on our website. They can just check it out and download it. A lot of the other forms are on there. Let me talk with Rob more about it tomorrow.
Okay,
And all they would set, they would give a time frame when they were gonna be within our village limit,
Do we have a copy?
a
of it?
week or two, I don't,
Well, that's,
who knows?
that's what I was gonna say. If you remember, back when you used to have the red bags with the advertisements in them, they were called, was it Redbird or something of that nature, or something that they would come by, there'd be a car that would come by, they either hang it on your
or fence or.
fence or something like it, and they wound up throwing them in your driveway, and then the wind would blow. We passed an ordinance where that was no longer allowed, that they had to be in a structure so that they wouldn't blow away, that if they were and they were found, they would be fined for litter. And that was a form of solicitation because it's uninvited. Also on that, we also passed, or I say passed, now I want to be clear. We spoke of having folks who went door to door that did require registering.
And that's what they did, they
They
did that with
registered
me.
here, so it's not so much that we forbid it or require a permit. They had to register because a lot of the folks that
Register,
come,
we need the mark.
register register so that we know the time that they're in here. Because a lot of these folks show up after dinner and around 8 or 9 o'clock.
And they could put that on the form when they were gonna be soliciting. One of the reasons it became an issue, Chuck, 15 years ago, we had a lot of older residents at that time. And they would call our police department concerned because strange people were walking through their neighborhood.
And we can restrict by ordinance the times that people can come in here and knock on your door.
I don't know that we need to restrict the time.
Well,
I don't think I've not had one come to my door yet past 8 o'clock at night.
Three of them come to my door.
Have they come to your door that late? No, no.
You wanna be bothered at dinner time, right, when you get home, about someone who wants to sell you bug spray or?
Well, they're gonna come at dinner time and I don't know that you can restrict that,
I think,
because that's when people are
Yeah,
home
you gotta
from work.
I just texted Rob about this, so
If you start restricting that, could be where you end up with lawsuits.
I'll find out.
But if you ask them to just register so you know who they are, how long they're gonna be here.
Register sounds to me like that should be legal.
I don't think so.
I think that's what it was. I think I misspoke, it's a wrong wording. It wasn't a permit, it was a register.
Yeah.
They were registered. so
And I
it
just kept them in a
was
file in case there was a complaint.
And do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Mr. Walters. Do I have a second? Kevin, second. Any further discussion? Penny, call the roll.
Mr. Burns.
Yeah.
Mr. Walters.
I'm thinking about it. Yes.
Ms. Bolton. Yes. Ms. Meister.
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yeah.
Ms. Jennings.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. All right, how do we?
I'm sure we would have those forms somewhere.